Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Lovely and happy Friday. So, what has been going on in my life? I went on a date last week. And I told you, I feel like I've been shut off from dating for the last few months. Then I got set up with this person by the matchmaker, which was, interesting. It was long distance, all of that. I figured out it doesn't work for me. But I think the silver lining in that experience was I am open to dating. Went on my first official date of 2025 last week. Okay, the date was good. I met this person, I actually matched with this person on a dating app a few months ago, but I wasn't ready to date, so we didn't really commit to a first date. But overall, it was good. He asked me out, he picked the place, we got there. Chemistry was good, banter was good. I learned he does not like Taylor Swift. Problematic. He asked me out again. I said I would love to see him. But then after the date, I felt like I was picking up on things. And for me, post-date, it's all data. I'm not psychoanalyzing your behavior, but I'm collecting data. And then I just figure out, do I like the data or do I not like the data? And I'm not liking the data. Not to get too political, we don't align politically. So I don't think there's going to be a date 2, but I have another date tomorrow. So I'll keep you guys posted on how that goes. But this is just the beginning of my dating journey and summer's near. So yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. Let's get into today's topic. Now, today's going to be a little bit of a surprise. I hope it's a pleasant surprise for most of you listening because it's just you and I today. There's no guest. There's no questions. It's just me, my mic, and everything I've been carrying and reflecting since launching this podcast. This podcast is so special to me, and I think even more special is all of you that have been listening. So you've been listening to the past 7 episodes. Thank you so, so, so much. I have had the chance to sit down with some incredible and thoughtful and amazing people. And honestly, every single episode has felt like a therapy session I didn't know I needed. And the little girl in me literally just jumps up and down every Friday when I listen to it, and my mom listens to it, my friends listen to it, and I'm seeing all the reviews that you guys are putting up. I'm just so grateful. And I think this is a very tangible piece that I will take forever and listen back to, and can tell myself that this is something you did for yourself. And this is something that you did different. No other girl in my family has ever done this. So it's just very, very close to my heart. And another reason why it's very close to my heart is after I stop recording these episodes, I don't just stop there and move on. After every episode, I sit with it. I reflect. Sometimes I get emotional because it's a big piece of me, right? I'm sharing a lot of personal stories. I'm learning a lot. And sometimes I journal after. And I keep asking myself, what did that bring up in me? So today's episode, I'm going to do lovely reflections and talk about what I learned from each episode. There's so many lessons, there's so many takeaways, and I want to share them with you. I haven't mastered them, but I think even if this helps one person listening and you take away something that's going to enhance your life a little bit, or make you feel a little less alone, or make you feel brave to apply it to your own life and have a positive outcome, I'll be happy. So grab your coffee, grab your wine, or take this on a walk. And yeah, we're going to get into some reflections.
Number 1.
Okay, so starting off with episode 1, we started off with a bang. We had Huda and Yasmine, 2 incredible matchmakers from Muslim Matchmaker. It was the first episode. I've never done this before. I was so nervous. I was trying to be as prepared as I could be. And I wanted everything to be perfect, you know? Like when you're giving that big presentation, you're like, it has to go like A, B, C, D. But then once I got on, I felt so at ease when Huda and Yasmine came on the screen. They instantly had this like big sister energy that just like made me feel safe. And I feel like they wrapped me up in like a little blanket and they're like, we're on this ride together. And one of my biggest takeaways from that episode was something that they said around their dating rule of 3. And that was when you're dating someone, a lot of people write people off really quickly. And to avoid that, stick with the rule of 3.
And that's our intention behind the rules of 3, which is underpinning the show. Give someone 3 opportunities before you say yes or no and focus on them. Don't be out here just swiping on everybody and trying to move through people like you're slicing butter. Like people are people.
You have to go on 3 dates. So 3 different dates to figure out, do you have chemistry? Are you compatible? And then do you have the same core values? And you do that by asking 300 questions. And 300 questions are a lot. We know that, but also that happens over a span of 3 months. And do that before you write someone off. I'm not saying I'm going to follow that exactly, but it did make me pause because I do feel like I write people off very quickly. They piss me off. And I'm like, you know what? Next, someone else will be there. But like, you can't do that, right? Like you can't just get one weird vibe and you're already imagining how it's going to fall apart. And I think while intuition is important when you know something is not going to work out because like your gut is telling you it's not going to work out. But my reason for writing people off was control. And I was trying to manage the outcome so I don't get hurt because I've been hurt in the past. So this episode really made me sit with that. And I was like, where does this need for control come from? And that is what I'm learning. And I think I am trying to protect myself from the outcome that is unknown. That's life. You just need to go with the flow and you need to let it unfold how it unfolds. And the moral of the story is I don't need to lower my standards, but I need to loosen my grip on the story that I've already decided that will play in my life. Sometimes the most beautiful things happen in the most unexpected ways, like me getting this podcast. So that was my reflection from episode 1.
Number 2.
This one was really interesting. And I was actually having a conversation with my coworker, believe it or not. Episode 2 was very intimate, okay? At episode 2, I mentioned things that not even some of my close friends know about me. Like, I feel like a lot of my friends were listening or acquaintances were listening to this podcast and they were like, Mehak was engaged at 16. I didn't know that. Well, that's kind of the conversation that I reflected to when I was coming up with the episode, which was around intimacy, setting boundaries, and the process of unlearning. And it was heavy, but in the best way possible. Again, I've talked about this in therapy multiple times, but some of these episodes are truly a therapy session for me. And we had Justine Ang Fonte, who is brilliant, so well-spoken. Almost a lot of the sentences were like a mic drop.
So if I'm able to already assess that he is someone that is willing to be flexible, to accept new ideas and doesn't seem as rigid or stubborn in his ways, then already I'm like, okay, so whatever this person is, there is room for other types of viewpoints, experiences, and behaviors to live here.
And for me, it was personal because it brought up memories of a very verbally abusive relationship that you kind of put in the back of your mind and you're like, because it was like 10 years ago, I don't want to think about it again. But I had to think about it. And it made me relive, memories that I didn't want to relive. But also, this episode gave me so much hope because I remember sitting in my chair listening to Justine's story of how she met her now fiance. And I used to have this belief where when they say, when you know, I feel like that has to be like this big grand gesture of finding out who your person is. But her story was something that was so quiet, and it made her feel safe. And the learning that I took away from this episode is true love or safe love doesn't have to be dramatic or chaotic to be real. It shows up quietly sometimes. And that's the kind we need to start trusting more. And I think this is something that I've struggled with. I always think the intensity of love is kind of correlates to how much someone loves you. But I think in this therapy session of this episode, I'm figuring it out that that's not how it is. As I continue to date, I'm going to reach for those quiet moments a lot more. Speaking of quiet moments, we did not have that on episode 3.
Number 3.
I had my really, really close friend, Mikey, and we were giggling non-stop. My cheeks were hurting how much I was laughing after, but episode 3 was very special to me. Mikey was my first friend and only friend that I brought on the podcast. And we were talking about dating in your 20s versus your 30s.
I also feel like a lot of men in their 30s haven't quite grown.
Mm-hmm.
And I find myself when I am going on dates with someone, sometimes I am thinking the person I'm talking to is a 20-year-old version of me.
After we wrapped up this episode and Mikey and I, we go out every Friday night, we were sitting on the couch and we literally were holding each other's hands. And he was like, Mehak, I'm so happy we did this because we're going to play this in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, and we're going to play this for our kids too. And it was just such a core memory that I have with my friend. And I think Mikey was very vulnerable in this episode. His coming out story, us discussing what was crucial for us in 20s and how different that shows up in our 30s. But the biggest thing was, I always say the best version of you is your most authentic version. And sometimes the environment that you're in doesn't make it safe to be your most authentic version. And I think your voice is not just a voice, it's like an instrument that you play. And sometimes when you're in an unsafe environment, your voice and instrument feels like a burden. But the lesson is that you need to speak your truth, even if it shakes a few things, because that is how you step into the version of you that's been waiting to be seen.
Number 4.
Our next one was similar to Mikey. We had a lot of laughs with Genesis Soul. And we were talking about growing up with strict and overprotective parents. And as women, how hard it was to navigate being in an environment where you couldn't be your true self. You had to shrink yourself. You had to hide who you were as a person, what you liked, and not being able to show that. And that really takes away from your life experience.
She very much was like, you are Venezuelan, you are Latina. We might be in America and your little friends might be doing American shit, but we're doing Venezuelan shit. We're doing it.
Period.
I get it. At the time it was annoying because of course all my friends, it was just so hard. It was the times where I'm not being any less Latina if I do this.
On the topic of safety and, your voice not being a burden, I think my biggest takeaway was that in an environment where women are constantly looking over their shoulder to feel protected and taking extra steps to protect themselves, the conversation needs to shift a little bit. The conversation shouldn't just be parents placing these strict restrictions so girls can be safe. I don't think it's a burden women should carry alone. I think it's a responsibility that we share as a society.
Number 5.
If we're talking about thought-provoking, my episode 5 with Sharif Tahir on male friendship sparked some conversation. To set the scene, Sharif is from New York, and we were talking about dating in New York. We were talking about male friendships and the age-old question, can straight men and straight women really just be friends?
If I was attracted to the person and we had like a vibe, like some sort of like chemistry, like close friends can have chemistry, you know? I think 10 years ago, I don't think I would have been able to do it. But now I feel like I am able to do it. I don't think that's a thing most people can do.
Now, I will be the first to say I am not an expert in any of these topics that I talk about. I am a girl living in Toronto that has experienced life and wants to share her experiences and have people from all different walks of life share their experiences. And my experience with male and female friendships is someone always catches feelings. And Sharif agreed to that. But I am open to all perspectives, right? This is what this is truly about. We're not proving anything. We're not doing any research or scientific study. We're just sharing what we've lived. And wanting to hear what you've lived too. So if your story is different, please tell me. You can follow me on Instagram. My account is whatthemehak_. You can follow me on TikTok, whatthemehak. Please message me, DM me. I'm really curious to hear if you do have a friendship in your life that is of the opposite sex and it works for you. This podcast isn't about universal truths. It's really just about people sharing their stories, and we're allowed to have different ones. And it's
This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit temptationstreats.com to learn more.
Experience a progressive lens engineered with AI from Essilor, powered by individual measurements of your visual behavior. A lens personalized to you by an Essilor expert. Discover Verilux XR Track and enjoy instantly sharp vision in motion and seamless transitions from near to far. Find your local Essilor expert today at essilor.com.
layered.
Number 6.
Our episode 6 was very layered. I had Richard on the podcast. I think Richard is probably one of the most emotionally mature and aware individuals I've connected with in a very long time. We talked about something that is common across all households, which is how you were raised shapes how you show up in relationships. And he shared a lot of interesting stories. He shared one where he took this person that he barely talked to, not only on a weekend getaway, but then in another instance, he went to Copenhagen with someone that he just started talking to.
On this week-long trip in Copenhagen, and I was like, okay. And we had hung out in person 2 or 3 times, and I didn't really feel like we had a connection, but I was like, wow, if she's like saying that like she wants to stay with me in this hotel room, I was like, okay, let's go. So yeah, I flew with her to Copenhagen and stayed with her in this hotel room. And, you know, I was like, okay, so maybe she likes me. So we were sleeping in the same bed. And then like I put my hand on her to touch her and she just swatted it away. And I was like, what? Like she like hit me.
I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like my jaw was on the floor. But then he really got into it. And he said something that struck a chord with me. And he said that he went on this trip. They were in the same hotel room. They were sleeping in the same bed. And he kind of went to go like, touch her hand. And she kind of like swatted it away. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, okay, did you guys talk about it after? And he said, no, we didn't. And the reason why we didn't is because he realized that intimacy was something she wasn't very comfortable with. So when someone is insecure about something, they do this grand gesture to kind of like minimize that insecurity. But then it ended up showing up anyways. But then he also was insecure about confrontation. So he didn't have a conversation about it and they just went their separate ways. It's so easy in a relationship when you look back and you're like, oh, it didn't work because the other person was a piece of shit. Oh, it didn't work because the other person didn't do this, didn't do that. But I love that he took accountability of like, yeah, the other person did this, but also I did the same, right? Like, how did I handle that? And I think that's what dating is all about. You hold a mirror to yourself and you're like, why did I withdraw? Why did I go quiet? Why didn't I say something? And the biggest takeaway from me is, healing isn't just about calling out what hurt you. It's about owning how you showed up in the hurt too. And this takes years of learning and unlearning. But I feel like Richard probably saved me like 6 different therapy sessions.
Number 7.
After all of this, deep, heavy healing journey, we had a really, really fun episode with Marisa. Marisa is someone that I will remember forever. And I feel like I want to like go out to dinner with her. I want her to be like one of my girlfriends. I saw a lot of myself in her in terms of some of like the really strong, opinionated traditional values. Like she knows what she wants. She's not afraid to say she wants a provider. She wants consistency. She wants emotional maturity. And these are majority of things that we all want, but she is not scared to say it.
I'm too conservative for a white guy.
So how do we win? How do we get this right?
Because that's who I am. I'm too liberal for being Mexican and I'm too conservative to be American.
She is like the true definition of I don't chase, I observe. And if you don't want it, then get out of my way. Don't waste my time. And that episode really reminded me that you're allowed to want what you want. You're allowed to walk away when it's not being met. And you don't owe anyone the watered down version of your standards. And maybe some of you heard that episode and you were raising your eyebrows and you were like, wow, like this is maybe a little too harsh. Like, what do you mean? Or maybe some of you guys were like nodding your head. Yeah. Like if I go meet a guy, if he's already there at the restaurant and he's not coming to greet me and like bring me to the table, I'm going to stand where I'm standing. I really think that sometimes we're such people pleasers. We abandon our own needs and what we require. And if we just stopped people pleasing, you would truly find people that are aligned with you. And that's where you end up staying in a relationship that doesn't work for you for too long because you abandon your needs and you abandon yourself and what you actually like and don't like. It's okay to have standards and it's okay to walk away from people that don't rise up to meet them. We've done 7 episodes. Like I said, I'm so grateful for every single guest we've had so far. Each of them brought something very personal. They were so vulnerable, and I'm really proud of those conversations. And we've had a lot of comedians on the show, which make for interesting conversations. But I also think it's important to switch gears a little bit. So in the coming episodes, if you're curious, you are going to hear from psychologists, professors, therapists, and people with totally different experiences. Some of the topics that I really want to talk about that we haven't touched on is infidelity. Boy, do I have stories for you on infidelity. And then letting go of people who aren't good for you. I think that is something we're all constantly learning because the heart wants what it wants, but it's not good for you. It's not good for you. So we're going to talk about that. And then also, once you let go of people that aren't good for you, you can't just turn that switch off. You have to rebuild your confidence, your self-esteem, and you have to mend that heartbreak. So how do you do that? Those are just some of the topics that I want to discuss. If there's a topic you want to hear, I'm telling you, you got to send me a message. I will definitely take that into consideration and map some episodes around it. I love listening from you guys, and like any feedback is good feedback, right? If there's something that you think we can improve on, something you want to hear more of, like if you want to hear more about the guests, you want to hear more of my personal stories, anything, just DM us. And there's 2 different accounts you can DM us. DM us at immigrantlypods, or you can DM me at whatthemehak_ on Instagram. Also follow me on TikTok. Like as I do my get ready with me's, I'll do like dating story times. Again, that's at whatthemehak. But if you want to hear more of like my dating journey or like the dates I go on and things like that, like again, just write a review and we will weave it into the episode. I'm learning as I go too, but I am just so grateful for all the amazing feedback that we are getting. I love that you guys keep returning and listening to all the episodes. But yeah, with that, I hope you enjoy all of my lovely reflections. We'll see you next Friday. Lovely is an Immigrantly media production. This episode was produced by Saadia Khan and Shei, written by me, Mehak. Music, sound design, and editing by Lou Raskin. Other music is by Epidemic Sound. Tune in every Friday for more lovely.